All right. What's up, guys? It's Michael here back for your Rocket REI Live podcast. I have a very special guest with me today. Very excited to get this thing kicked off here. So, Justin, man, welcome to the podcast.
Dude, thanks for having me. It's a blast. The second you told me or asked me if I'd be willing to, I absolutely said 100%. So happy to be here.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, for anyone who's tuning in, today is a live show. So, we will have questions to your answers. So, make sure to put those in the chat, and then also share this out to a friend. Let's get some people out here to hear about this show, and let's get this thing going. So, man, for people who don't know you, Justin, let's take it way back. Like, when did you get started in real estate? I say that like you're an old man or something like that, but
Sometimes I feel it. Sometimes I feel like I'm an old man with all you youngsters out here killing the game.
yeah, dude. Well, it's one of those things where you're the pioneer, right? Like you're leading the way. So, like for people who don't know who Justin Colby is, man,
Yeah.
who are you? How'd you get into real estate?
Yeah. So I started 14 years ago. I was broke, busted, and disgusted. And so if you are trying to get into real estate, if you're just starting and maybe you're not financially like on the top of your game, don't worry. Because when I say I was broke, busted, and disgusted, I lost my house to foreclosure. I was sleeping on my friend's house. And to make matters worse, the repo man had to come repossess my car. So I
Mm,
didn't even have a car. And so that was back in, 6, 7. Got started because I committed to it because I knew I could be a amazing flipper. And so committed to becoming a real estate investor. I invested in coaching. So I actually borrowed $25,000 to invest in coaching from a friend. Friend is a godsend.
whew,
And that's what really got me going, right? Because I didn't have any income. I had no money. I had no freaking car. But I just knew I could hustle. And the only thing I knew before I got coaching, the only thing I knew to do was call realtors. So quite literally, all I would do all day long is I would call 100 realtors a day saying I'm a local investor and I'm looking to buy good investment properties. And that's all I did every single day. And 9 months later, I got my first deal done.
beautiful, beautiful, man. I was just telling my wife, like, sometimes it takes your back against the wall before you can finally break through and have that success. So you were probably just busting it calling realtors because that's not like a very easy way to find off market deals. I mean, obviously they're out there in that, but
Yeah.
holy cow, like 9 months and you kept pushing and then finally you got your first deal. What did that first deal look like? Did that come from an agent then?
Yeah, I did. So as we all know, agents were pretty skeptical at the time because obviously we're going through this massive crash and, ultimately everything was a short sale. And so, agents were like, well, we don't even really know what's going on. So it took me like hundreds of agents that I talked to before I could find an agent that would work with me and submit offers. But even the agents that would work with me and submit offers, they would get it signed by the homeowner. But during that time, during this big crash, right? This is back in 2007, 2008. Right, like the banks were making the decisions. All these homes were underwater. They were all being short sold. The banks didn't know what they were doing. So, like, to layer on being a rookie and not really knowing what I was doing, now the banks, who were ultimately the sellers, didn't know what the hell they were doing. So it was a tough time. But listen, it got me, you learn by doing, right? And so I learned a lot in that process. It took me 9 months to get my first deal. I made $7,000. And essentially, I just did a wholesale double close, though. I didn't really even know what I was doing. Um, and so, I had a business partner at the time. We did a double close where my end buyer brought the funds to close my leg and his leg. And we made $7,000. So he got 3,500. I got 3,500. And let's just say I was still eating hot dogs and top ramen, right? Because what is that? When you have no money, $3,500 doesn't exactly do a whole lot. But like momentum does, when you catch momentum, like almost immediately after we got another deal, and it just started to roll from there.
Absolutely. So a lot of people who are watching this, are probably going to be people who are looking either to get their first deal or people who are looking to break through that consistency. I titled it "The Science of Flipping and How to Get Consistent Deals" because you have been very successful at that probably since then. And so, what do you think like the key was from there? Was it just like faith to fact once you saw how that process worked? Or what do you think the key was to then consistently keep going and then scale that thing up?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with my belief and faith in, oh man, this really works. Now let's pour gas on it. But the other part was the coaching component. I mean, I borrowed $25,000 to get ahead of the line. Right. And so I've always believed in that. I was raised an athlete. I've played sports my entire life, and I always knew coaching would be able to get me better faster. So I made that investment in myself, even though I didn't have the money. There's a missing connect with a lot of people that like, oh, I can't afford coaching. It's a mindset. You
Yeah.
think you need to have it in your bank, but there's a lot of ways that you can go afford coaching, right? Whether it's credit cards, or maybe you sell your pool table or motorcycle or whatever, right? It's a mindset about there's never a lack of resources. It's always, always, always a lack of resourcefulness. And so with the combination of that, right, with my belief system so high because I got my first deal done, and then the combination of a coach actually telling me, here's the path, just keep running down this path. That's what just really kept me running, right? So first year I did 2 deals, then 6 deals, the next year, then 9 deals, the next year, 20 deals, the next year, 46 deals, so on, so on, so on. And here I am 14 years later, and I've done over 1,800 deals.
Beautiful. I knew when I made that caption today that it was more than hundreds. So you're in the thousands, man. You're pushing 2,000 deals. That's
Yeah.
absolutely inspiring to me, and I'm sure it is to a lot of the audience. Very cool, man. My wife and I were literally just talking about how important that self-development and the growth is. And sometimes you need a coach to be able to tell you and guide you throughout that process. I'm in the same boat as you, man. I did the $25,000. I didn't have it, but I was willing to figure it out. I was willing to
Mhm.
fail forward, and that's what you got to do. And so that's absolutely incredible. Was there anything part of your process that in that growth period where you felt you had a breakthrough, or was it just the consistent effort that you kept putting out there?
There's been a lot of breakthroughs, man. And that, I mean, 14 years, right? So there's been a lot of ups, and there's been also a lot of downs. I mean, there's been deals I've lost a ton of money on, and it's been awful. There's been a lot of deals where I've made a lot of ton of money, and it's been great, right? But those are the losses is where you learn, right? And so, one, for instance, is I started developing 79 townhomes. I bought 3 acres of land, did the whole infrastructure, started developing 79 townhomes, got through the first 11, like it just, and then it started to unravel. Just a tough deal for me, right? Like lost a lot of money, but it gave me such a learning curve, right? Another thing that I did really poorly is I did $1 million flip, and I know a bunch of my friends that are doing that very, very successfully, and I didn't. And it's because for 14 years I've stayed at like under $300,000 flips. So I didn't do what needed to be done on this $1 million flip, and it cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so, what I'll say though is all of those have given me perspective. So there's always the good, there's always the bad. What people need to understand is 95% of this is your mindset, right? Because people quit when they fail. And as an entrepreneur, you're going to fail a lot, a lot. Like I literally just saw a meme this morning from Michael Jordan, and it had like all these failures, right? Like I've missed 362 game-winning shots in my career. I've missed them. Right, and he just listed out all these things that he failed on, but he's still Michael Jordan, and who the hell remembers any of those failures, right? And so that's the perspective I take going into anything. And so there was never like a big aha moment. There was never this. It's just progression over time. And I harp this to my coaching students, right? It's about progress, right? Everyone wants to get out there. Justin, can you guarantee me I'm going to get a deal in 30 days? No. And I say, no, I cannot, right? I can't guarantee in 90 days. But the reality is you could, as long as you do the actions necessary that you need to take and you systemize those actions and repeat, you could do it, right? And some people do it, other people don't. But the reality is it's about progress, right? And it's always a transition of progress, even 14 years later, right?
Dude, that's amazing. I mean, I heard some really good things in there. I asked you about breakthroughs, and then you're talking about your failures, but most times failure does lead to breakthrough. And
Totally.
so, I gotta ask, like, do you mind talking about the development project? Like, what
Sure.
happened? What went south
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
there?
I mean, it's kind of a long story, but I'll keep it short. I mean, the reality is I'm an open book, so I don't have any problem talking about my failures. It all started with I brought on the wrong business partner. The deal was brought to me by a developer. Well, that developer came to me, and at the time I was 32. And kind of so he was up in age, he was in his 60s. So he was kind of targeting the young, hotshot, successful kids, if you will, as a way to finance this deal he wanted to do. But essentially, he was a snake in the grass. And I wasn't experienced enough to see it. And long story short, throughout this whole process of developing and buying the land, I found all the money. I raised all the capital. Me and my business partner at the time did everything, right? Like he started doing the development side, but he was terrible at it. And all of a sudden, we started recognizing our money was like leaving, right? And he was essentially embezzling money from us.
Yikes.
And so once that started, it started a trickle effect with the lenders. Then it just got ugly fast. And then our basically our what am I blanking on? I want to say sub so bad, but it's not sub. Superintendent.
Okay.
Essentially, he also wasn't really embezzling, but he was basically marking everything up and taking pieces of it. So I don't know if it's embezzling or, so it just, because they knew we were the rookies, right? They wouldn't have done that with a seasoned developer. But we didn't really know what we were looking for. So with all those things going on and the cost of the development and us, meaning me, I was cutting checks every month for the debt, right? We had debt, just like any other loan, we have debt. So we're having massive outlays every month of like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 of interest payments, right? Going to these, because the dollar amounts are huge, $11 million loans, etc. Right? So, I'm carrying that debt while still flipping, while still, wholesaling. And so essentially all the money I was making wholesaling and flipping was going to this project. So I was not making really any money. So it was tearing me and my business partner apart, and it just got ugly. And so we ultimately had to call our lender. The main lender was like a private guy. He came in with a lot of money. And I said, dude, we got to let go of this project. And I don't know how you want to be a part of that or how we can all work together. And he obviously did not love it. It was not a fun conversation, but it was transparent. It was honest. Ultimately, I think even though we lost the deal, we left the deal. He ended up like staying in the deal and bringing on a developer and like made a lot of money actually.
Wow.
So he actually won, even though that month when we were doing all this, it was very ugly. So I think he actually won and got paid off and everything was fine. But I lost a lot of money, like multiple six figures within that. So I think it's just biting off more than you can chew. But the main lesson was don't chase the money. Yeah. Right? We saw a payday at the end of this. We saw like an $8 million payday to us. And we chased it. We never developed before in our lives. Not only did we never develop before, we've never developed multiple properties. We've never had to work with the city to this extent. Like we didn't know any of this. But we chased this payday because it was so big. So the big learning lesson is when you chase money, money runs.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was one thing. And the only other time I'll tell you, and I don't really believe we chased money because it wasn't like some massive payday, but doing the $1 million home, it was a estimated $200,000 payday if we did it right, which was a good amount. And, we had the money anyways. Long story short, we were just out of our circle of expertise. Right. And those two deals are the deals that we've lost the most money on, or I've lost the most money on. And, but that's just because we were going outside of what we were comfortable with, what we were good at. That's not to say you should always stay in your circle of expertise, because I continue to kind of incrementally break out of it. It's when you just make a huge leap into something totally unknown. And, that's where you can get hurt. Right. But incremental, progress outside of your comfort zone is fine because that just expands your comfort zone.
Yeah, there's some really good lessons in there, guys. Keep the main thing until you're ready to move on to the next big adventure, and maybe don't dive into it. But for you, man, like how did that affect your wholesaling operation? Did it like take a huge like kind of slowdown of deal flow when you had to take all your focus off there?
Yeah, all of it. I mean, it slowed down deal flow, took away our focus. All the money we were making, we were paying out. I mean, it was just ugly, right? I mean, essentially, it did not bankrupt us, but essentially it did, right? Like we had to start from scratch again, right? After so many years of doing well, we had to go back and kind of start from scratch, which is another great thing because it broke us through on reshaping our business. And at the time, I had a business partner. And so we were able to kind of take a step back, take a look and analyze what we did well, what we didn't do well, where can we pivot? And that allowed us to kind of build a something that you see today, right? The foundation of what you see today came because of that massive mistake of going into development.
Man, so good. Thank you for being transparent on that because
Yeah,
I want people to see like, hey, here's the reality of what can happen. It's not all, checks flashing and cars and fancy stuff. Like this is the reality, guys, of sometimes what can happen. But I don't want to be depressing on here. Let's get into the meat and the potatoes, the good stuff of
sure.
why you guys are actually here today is because Justin has absolutely mastered the science of flipping properties, and he literally has a program to teach others how to do that too. So, man, can you talk to like some of the things that you teach and maybe that are working really well today in such a competitive landscape out there? And like honestly, man, like the most competitive market. Let's be honest, like Phoenix,
Yeah.
Scottsdale, got to be one of
Yeah.
the most competitive markets in the country.
Yeah, happy to. I mean, listen, there's like I tell all my students, like if you just follow the recipe and actually execute on it, it works. The hurdle that most people find is they mentally, again, it's a mental game. They check out if they don't get the results they want after 30 days or 60 days. And that's just not the game. You got to have fortitude, you got to stay in it. But really, what's working for us in terms of the deal flow that we get is pay per click advertising on Google and cold calling and text messaging. Those three things are by far bringing all the deals. And then we have a decent amount of business that we do with other investors, both locally and nationally. I think, what did it say, Wednesday? So is today Wednesday? Yeah, today's Wednesday.
Hmm.
Monday, we sold 2 deals for other investors, one in Dallas, one in Baltimore, Maryland. And partly that's because I am known, right? So people will come to me, hey, do you mind trying to see if you can sell my deal? I can't move it. And I can. And so we have a business model that focuses heavily on being able to help other investors, students, or others that are direct to seller. I don't want to confuse people and say, hey, bring me deals that are like, has a daisy chain of wholesalers in the middle. I won't do it, right?
Yeah.
That'll ruin our relationship quickly. But if you're a direct, uh, investor that's contracted with a seller, I'm happy to see if I can get it sold. And so between that part of my business, the pay-per-click advertising, the cold calling, and the texting, we're doing anywhere from 10 to 20 deals a month, 7 different states, well, 8 different states now, because Maryland now, as we just sold Baltimore.
Sweet.
Um, and so, it's awesome. And it's a great business model. I think wholesaling, part of what I preach is wholesaling to wealth. Wholesaling can bring in so much money that you can start to build wealth through rentals. But in between there, you can also start to rehab flip, which brings in more money, just takes a little bit longer. And then you can buy more rentals. And the reality is that's my big impetus on my coaching is like wholesale your way to wealth. Get the thing moving. And when you do, I mean, you can be clipping off 6 figures a month pretty easy. I don't want to say easy, it's work, but you
Hmm.
can absolutely get yourself to a point of clipping off 50 grand, 60 grand, 80 grand, 100 grand a month wholesaling. And then honestly, what are you going to do with that money? Right. I mean, that's where you want to start to build wealth and diversify how you're investing. And ultimately, we're all in this to be living on a boat somewhere and just be done with everything and just collect checks. Right. That's what we're all here for. So
Heck
that's
yeah.
really my big push. But
Dude, that's so true. I mean, most people it's like, how do I get started? I think wholesaling is the absolute perfect way to get started because once you find out how to find these off-market deals, you have all the options in the world. You can flip it, you can rent it, whatever you want to do. And if you have it down to a system, it's really just pushing off cash once you get that thing going. So I take it, to do that many deals a month, Justin, you're probably making a lot of phone calls. You're really getting in the weeds of things and doing all that, taking
yeah.
taking pretty crazy action.
Yeah, and now listen, what you see today is a snapshot of 14 years of business, right? So do I do any of it? No,
Yeah.
I don't, right? I don't make a single phone call. I don't talk to a single seller. I don't contract a single property. I don't, but I have a business that does it. I essentially have like a CEO and a COO. They run the businesses, and businesses meaning like one part is the acquisition side, one part is the disposition sales side, and they they work together to run them, and then have people under them, right? And so that's how the business is set up today. But yeah, I mean, we make tens of thousands of phone calls in a given week. We bring in hundreds of leads every single week into our business, and from there, we roughly convert 2% of all the leads that we bring in, and that's pretty good, right? A lot of people convert closer to 1. So as long as we're bringing those leads in, then we can convert more deals and just get more deals done.
Absolutely. That's amazing, man. So you got your CEO, your COO. What else does it look like? I know probably acquisitions, maybe some lead management in there. Like who else is running the boat?
So leads come straight to the acquisition specialist. So we have 2 full-time acquisition specialists. The COO acts as an acquisition specialist himself. We have 2 full-times. The CEO has another employee on her side. They are my 2 disposition specialists, and they run disposition. And then we have a transactional coordinator, and that they fill all the paperwork. But and then we're looking to bring on probably another one. But as a moment in time, that's really all you need, right? Like a 5 to 7 person business, as big as it needs to be. That does not include the cold calling, the cold callers that we have. We have roughly 16 cold callers. So that doesn't include them because we outsource that to a company that does that. But in my office and in my business every single day, that's how we're set up.
Awesome. So are you guys you're doing things in 7 states? Are you doing a whole lot in Phoenix area,
Yeah.
Scottsdale?
Yeah, I'd say half of our business is here in Arizona. So
Okay.
if we do, I think last month, what did we do? 14 deals last month. I'd say 7 or 8 of them were in Arizona, and the rest were in multiple states.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right on, man. So, are you seeing a lot of competition, just from my own curiosity, and hedge funds out there in Phoenix? Are you
Oh, of
guys
course. Yeah.
seeing that?
Zillow, OfferPad, and all the actual hedge funds, 100%.
Okay. Yeah, we're experiencing the same thing. So,
Usually, and they've been here for 4 years, 5 years, right? So this isn't new to us. That's why you got to stay mobile, you got to stay flexible, fluid, right? Because things change, right? And so you got to be able to be fluid and be able to change with the times.
right, exactly. So, are you guys doing any virtual flips? I thought I saw a post on looking for contractors in like Ohio or something like that. Are
Yeah,
you doing a
yeah.
flip out there?
Yeah, so I'm buying and holding in other states.
Ah,
So I
okay.
need contractors for the remodeling component. Like today, I'm looking at one in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
It's a great
So
market.
like finding contractors out there. I've one I'm looking at. I don't know if I'm going to do it though. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. That would go into my rental portfolio. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. But yeah, that's why I'm looking for contractors and connections in the other states, is because those other states, I might start rehab flipping there. I'm primarily wholesaling, but buying and holding for sure I am.
Yeah. Man, don't tell people what those numbers look like, because those numbers are something else compared to, like, obviously me in Vegas or you in Scottsdale.
Yeah, dude.
Love it.
100%. It's crazy out there. Like middle America is the area.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you do decide to go to Middle America, I flip all over Nebraska, so I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer out there
Nebraska?
in
I
Nebraska.
swear to God, let me look at my leads. I think we just got a PPC lead in Nebraska. I can't even make this up.
Okay. Well,
New lead. Oh, it was in Missouri. Sorry.
close enough. Close enough. Cameron asked, how difficult has it been to get a foothold in other markets that you're expanding to?
Not difficult for me, but I also know the business really well, right? So it takes the same recipe that I talk about, right? Like you need a blueprint, you need to follow the blueprint, and if you do that, then you can gain massive traction, right? So between networking and then just using the marketing strategies that I know work, not very difficult. But this is why, like, not to come off, and try to sell, but this is why coaching is so imperative. Like I always bring it to, like, if you've never played that game and you try to go play the game, it's going to be difficult, right? Like if someone said, "Hey, Justin, go play cricket." I've never played cricket, right? And then not only go play cricket, Justin, become an expert at playing cricket. How the hell am I going to do that, right? So that's why I always tell people, like, but above all else, invest in yourself. Get a coach. If it's not me, that's okay. But get a coach, right? Like invest in yourself, invest in your business, take the leap of faith that Michael and I have also taken. By the way, just so we're clear, this year already, I've already spent $50,000 on coaching. Last year, I spent $85,000, and I'm considering spending another $25,000 before the year is over, which I'm likely going to do. So last year, 85, this year will be probably about 75. Like I still invest a lot of money in coaching because I can always be better too. And I believe investing in yourself. So if you're out there wondering, the answer is yes. Get a coach. If it's not me, that's fine. If it's me, great. But you need a coach.
Man, that's really good, and I agree 100%. I've spent my $35,000 plus some sales training with John Martinez, and some other different things this year. So I mean, I'm pushing 52, and it's only going to catapult your business. You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And
Yeah.
like if I want to have a multi-million 8-figure business, well, I should probably hang out with guys who have 8-figure businesses. So that's wonderful advice. And Cameron, also, I'd like to add myself. As you know, I also am in several markets, and one thing that I learned a lesson on, and Justin probably is gonna laugh when he hears this, because I kind of told him about how I was running a PPC campaign myself nationwide, not nationwide, but in several markets. Well, I looked at the bill one month. I'm like, holy smokes! Like I spent a whole lot of money on that because I didn't really pay that much attention to it. And when I say
Sure.
a lot of money, I mean I spent probably 30 grand on PPC in just one month across several markets.
Sure.
And we were getting too many leads for our own good, and we weren't converting those leads as good as we should have. So there is a problem with getting too much for the sales force that you have. And then also it took our eye off the ball. Our main market, where we had 80% of our revenue, did suffer a little bit. So one thing that I would say is have a hat in each, or have a grip on each market, or at least have the personnel to take care of those leads. Otherwise, there will be missing opportunities. And we experienced that in probably June, and we've refocused and then slowly started expanding again, and things are picking up. We got 12 to 15 under contract now, and just moving forward. And it's all because we refocused and recalibrated. But had
Are
we
you
not
still
done
doing the
that,
PPC?
we are, but we're not
Yeah.
doing it on such a wide scale. So
You stuck to a handful of states?
yeah, we have it in just a couple states. The biggest thing that I learned is I can't run the entire. I'm not running the entire business, but I can't do too many things at once and be really successful at it. I'm not a PPC manager. I'm not a campaign
Right.
manager. It's pretty simple and straightforward, but like it just isn't what I care to, focus my energy on. I would rather just hire somebody, or, eventually when I don't have a whole lot of other things to worry about, then refocus on that.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things, but that's how you learn. I wouldn't have learned what that looked like had I not just went out there and did it. And so, yeah, good question, Cameron. Anybody else have any questions for Justin? Well, we got the wealth of knowledge here. Nobody? All right. Well, we'll keep going. Man, when it comes down to, running a successful business and, making money and building wealth, I have to ask, like, how do you do it? What's your why? And like, what keeps you going?
Yeah, I mean, so what's your why? That's a big question a lot of people in the entrepreneurial space ask. And my answer changes, right? So there's like seasons to life. So my answer changes now, but still is a little bit of the same. Like my why is to be able to create a financial life for me, my immediate family, and family beyond that. That money is not an issue to do what we want when we want, right? And so I think the generic answer people give all the time is I do it for my kids, and that's the obvious. Like I have a brand new baby girl; she turns 6 months tomorrow. Um,
Congratulations.
yeah, and so the obvious is I'm going to do it for her and my wife. And I don't want to take away from that, but I think there's a deeper answer, which will be I want to make sure not just me, her, and my daughter are all set financially. I want to make sure that the people around me are good financially, and I can make an impact in life. Making money is one thing, but making an impact is a totally different thing. And making impact is what fulfills my heart. Making money is fun, and we do a lot of fun shit. Like I'm leaving next week. I'm going to Hawaii for 7 days, and money's not an issue, and it's great, and all that stuff. but making an impact on my students and making an impact on other people and whoever's listening to that and making an impact on this show, like that's what fulfills me. So it's a combination of like financial and impact, right? So income and impact is my why. But what keeps me going, man, is I kind of am in that serial entrepreneurial heart type of guy. Like I love creating shit. So I'm a creator, right? If you've ever read the book Traction, I'm the
Hmm.
creative side. And so it's fun. And again, money is great and it's affording me to buy this, $1 million+ home in Miami and Hawaii and all these great things. And I don't say it to brag. I'm just saying that's the end result of it. But the impact I can make and the fun I have while creating and then giving back to others, that's it. That's everything, man. And it's a very fulfilling life to do that.
Yeah, man, I would agree. That's a great why, by the way. And yeah, you have a good point. Like the impact is what really keeps people like you and me going. Is like how can we impact not just our own family, but many others. And so you've mentioned a couple different times, and I want to talk about it because I think you have an amazing platform, an amazing thing going on. The science of flipping. So can you, for people who don't know what the science of flipping is, can you just talk a little bit about that and kind of fill people in on what that is? I know you have the coaching there.
Yeah, it started out as a podcast, then became a book. And it was because a lot of people were asking me questions about how I was being successful. And so then it turned into a coaching program. And now it's something that people are seeking me out for because they want to get into the space of wholesaling their way to wealth, right? How to systemize and structure a true real estate investing business. And it's not just wholesaling, it's literally wholesaling to wealth. So that includes flipping homes, that includes wholesaling homes, and includes buying rentals. And so it is the complete blueprint. I mean, hundreds of hours of videos, but above all else, it's me holding the people's hands. We do 2 coaching calls a week for the entry level, and for the more advanced, it's 4 calls a week with me. So you see exactly how I run my business. You're engaging with me every single week, and that's the fulfilling part, man. It's so great to some of these people become my friends, and it takes it to another level of what we do and why we do it, and I love real estate, right? And so, but when it comes down to it, I have other things that I enjoy and have passions for and invest in. But it's because I can create that because I have a business that allows me to do it, right? My CEO and COO run the business effectively. And so it's the science of flipping really teaches and coaches the blueprint, right? Like not just here's some videos, but I'm going to actually coach you on how to be successful.
Love it, man. And where can people find out more about that?
Yeah, go to the scienceofflipping.com.
At flipping.com.
And
Awesome.
then I have my YouTube channel as well, where there's a ton. Like, if you want to get to know more about me, just go to youtube.com/Justin Colby. I have hundreds of videos, and you can just start to, you know, vibe with me, see if I'm the right fit for you, see if I'm the right guy. Go to youtube.com/Justin Colby, or you can go to my website, thescienceofflipping.com. Or even I have a giveaway. If you go to insider.thescienceofflipping.com, it is a free wholesaling course. Insider.thescienceofflipping.com.
Hey guys, I told you I was going to be giving you some free value today. Justin literally just dropped a free wholesaling course. What more could a person want? Man, thank you.
Yeah,
That's
man.
much appreciated. So very cool. And you mentioned a book. I always like to just pick somebody's brain on like a business book, an entrepreneur book that really just changed their life. And I heard you mention Traction. That's a great book for the implementation. Any other books you'd recommend?
Dude, I just finished a great book called Essentialism.
Ah,
It is amazing, especially for the entrepreneur that tries to do it all. And uh,
guilty.
Essentialism is unreal. So that would be
Yep.
it. I just finished it. Um, I'm reading Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
Got that book right back there.
Yeah, that is so far it's great. But Essentialism really just kind of blew my mind. That was awesome.
Yeah, I would agree. I read that to start off the year, and it was highly recommended book for sure. Cool guys. Anybody else have any questions for Justin? Pick his brain, guys. This guy's got some good information for you. Anybody? All right, all right. Let's see here. I guess, Justin, if nobody has any questions, I'm sure, they'll think of it as I'm going over here. And if you do,
Yeah.
drop it in the comments. So, and by the way, share this out to some friends. I want more people to know, Justin's story, and then also, obviously the value that he provided today. So if you did get value from this, please make sure to drop a comment, thumbs up, heart, whatever, and then share it out to some friends. And then also, Justin, yeah, man. Any final thoughts, piece of advice for anyone watching today?
I think if anything, it's the believe it before you see it, right? Faith to fact type of idea, and then just don't quit. And I know that sounds generic, and you're like, "Oh, thanks, Justin, that's brilliant." But the reality is that I've coached thousands of people at this point, and the only time they actually don't succeed is because they quit. Because this business isn't that difficult. Like, it's not rocket science. It just takes work. So have determination, have fortitude, and don't quit, right? And if you do that, this business will run, right? You will make life-changing income if you have determination, fortitude, persistence, right, and the ability not to quit. You'll crush it.
There you have it. Beautiful, man. I mean, I think most people have heard that. I listen to a lot of podcasts, hear that time and time again. But how true is it? If you don't, you'll succeed. So
Yeah, it's only everything. I mean, it's just only everything.
amazing. We'll have to do this again down the road. But thank you, man, for coming on here. I really do appreciate your time. I
Of
know it's
course, dude.
valuable. So thank you. And thanks for everyone for watching today. And make it a great day. And have a good rest of your week.
Peace.